Hey guys, welcome back to an interesting video on Wild Rift. So today we'll be taking a look at another Sivir supplementary guide. We're going to be taking a look at Magnetic Blaster on Sivir. So the previous time we've taken a look at Shield Bow Sivir versus Bloodthirster Sivir and the pros and cons to both, of which there are a lot. Taking a look now, you can see that in the top 3 builds you have 1 Bloodthirster, 2 Bloodthirster, and 1 Shield Bow. So it's really a lot about personal preference as to what you prefer and what the game calls for. However, today we're going to be taking a look at not going for IE and instead going for Magnetic Blasters. Looking at the top few builds, you do have both builds going for IE, and the middle one, a little bit of a weird build, but in today's video, we're not going to be going for IE, we're going to be going for Blaster instead. This is a pretty common build variation for a lot of ADCs, so let's get straight into it. So first up, you go for the Gluttonous Greaves with the AD and the Omnivamp, and then you can go into either Shield Bow or Bloodthirster. Of course, we've discussed this at length at the last Sivir supplementary guide on Bloodthirster, Sivir, the pros and cons of each. So you want to choose which one you want and go for that one. And then you go for Navori Quick Blades, just of course to lower your cooldown, especially important on your W as well as your E. And then you go for Magnetic Blaster, gives you the additional range as well as also giving you the additional attack speed, which is really useful for getting your boomerangs out faster. And then, of course, more reminder for the armor pending grievous wounds. Last item is flexible, so you can go for items like Black Cleaver to shred the entire enemy team's armor. You can go for something like Maw or GA as well, depending on what you need. For the runes, of course, standard ADC loadout, Lethal Tempo for the range and attack speed, and then your Brutal because you auto attack a lot, Giant Slayer to counter attacks, as well as Alacrity for more attack speed, and finally Bone Plating for the defensive capabilities. Now for the spells, you want to go for Flash, and the other spells are a little bit contentious, right? Because technically, I think Cleanse is still amazing when there's a lot of CC, but you do have a Spell Shield. Similarly, Ghost is also amazing, but you do have movement speed in your ulti. So it's really back to the same discussion of Ghost, Cleanse, and Exhaust, and Barrier. But I personally think it's going to be Cleanse or Ghost most of the time. But with all that said, now let's take a look at the gameplay. Okay, so let's take a look at the gameplay itself. Now, I still think Sivir is one of the top 3 ADCs, but I think after the round of nerfs to her W, she did get a little bit weaker. I do think probably now at this point, even though Corki did get nerfed as well, I think Corki is probably a little bit better than Sivir. Of course, it depends on the matchup, depends on your support, and depends on the enemies, but in general, I think it's probably Vera's top ADC, followed by Corki, then Sivir, something of that sort, right? So here we have a Senna support and we're playing against a Mundo Jhin. Now this is pretty interesting, Mundo support. I haven't really seen that in a long while. It used to be a thing back in pro play, in back when the game was like in its very early days. But I guess most people probably would think it's quite troll if you see Mundo support nowadays. Now I think that it is semi-troll, but not really, because at the end of the day, Mundo is still a very, very tanky champion, right? So if he builds support item, and if he pokes with his Q, and if he just farms it up, not really farms it up because he's a support, but builds tanky, you know, items, he's still going to be a very solid frontline tank for the enemy team in the later stages of the game. So it's not exactly a complete troll pick, I guess is what I'm trying to say. So of course, I say this in a lot of my Sivir videos, but I think Sivir is best played when the enemy team has a lot of frontline champions. Now, it might seem a bit counterintuitive, seeing as Sivir is very short range and can only attack the frontline, but of course, because of her boomerangs, she will be able to, of course, attack the front line and thereby bounce to the back line, which is basically the main way Sivir plays, right? So in this game, you have Nasus and you have Mundo, who's very likely to stand in front of Lux as well as Jhin at the minimum, if not Talon. Talon's probably going to be flanking or something like that. So by attacking the Mundo and the Nasus, you can probably bounce the boomerangs onto the back line, and that's basically Sivir's main playstyle. So of course, this leads me to the next discussion point, right? Which is obviously, why go for Blaster instead of IE? Well, basically, we talked about this, I believe it was in one of the earlier videos. I think it was on maybe, I think it was Zaya's video, Zaya's supplementary guide, on talking about why Blaster is such a good item and comparing that to IE, right? But I did mention on champions like Sivir, Zaya, and Tristana, sometimes in some instances, Blaster can be better than IE. And the reason for that is, they are champions that want to do something with their auto attacks. And what do I mean by that? Basically, For example, when you auto attack faster with Xayah, you can put out feathers on the ground faster. When you auto attack faster with Tristana, you can charge up the bomb faster. And similarly, when you auto attack faster with Sivir, you can get out a lot more of these boomerangs that is going to be bouncing around, right? And considering that the boomerangs, like when you pop your W, you do only have a limited duration where the boomerangs are active, so you want to get out as many of these boomerangs as possible to bounce them all over the enemy team. That's why sometimes it's just better to have more attack speed to get out more boomerangs that's going to bounce all over the place than have more attack damage from the IE, and then you have less boomerangs bouncing around. Right, so that's kind of the main argument of why Blaster could be good. But of course, in some instances, just pure damage is better. Like, no point bouncing around 10 boomerangs if they're not going to be doing any damage, you know what I mean? So here, Rammus comes in for a gank, and we're able to flash forward and get the first blood, also with the help of the Senna ulti. Really well played by myself and my whole team to get that first blood in a team effort. So yeah, so really IE versus Blaster is somewhat personal preference, but it's also kind of somewhat dependent on the state of the game. In state of the game, I mean by how strong IE is and how strong Blaster is and how strong Sivir herself is. As we pick up another easy kill onto Dr. Mundo, who overstays his welcome, starting off the game with 2 quick kills. Really good way to start the game. Now in this game, I am going for Shield Bow because there is of course a lot of threat on the enemy team from the Talon being an assassin jungler, as well as the Lux being able to probably one-shot me or at least burst me down. So Shield Bow is going to help out a lot in these instances. Of course, you could argue that going for Blaster means you're going to be lacking a lot of AD, so you want to get as much AD as possible by going for the Bloodthirster. So really, there is no right answer here. As I said in the previous Sivir video, it's a lot about your personal preference and things like that. So here, you know, we've already gotten a 2-kill lead, and we're actually 1k gold up on Jhin, which is normally a spot that Sivir doesn't find herself in a lot. Sivir is a decent lane champion in the sense that she can clear wave very easily, so you can either just keep pushing out or not get pushed in so much, as Rammus now goes in for another gank, and we finish off the Jhin. Now Mundo is trying to turn with his ultimate, but he is not going to be getting anything, and Rammus this time is the one that picks up 2 kills as we pick up 2 assists. Of course, it would be nice to have gotten the kills, but of course, killing the enemy is always going to be a good thing. It gives us access to these tower plates, and yeah, you can see we're really getting those plates. The dragon is going to be spawning real soon. Now, honestly, I think that if I could get this tower, it would be more worth it than going for this dragon, but honestly, we couldn't get the tower because the respawn timers of Jhin and Mundo are way too short. You can see that they've already shown up there, so I believe I would have gotten the tower to maybe 200 HP or so, and I probably wouldn't have gotten the tower, especially after the 6.1D update, which makes towers very, very tanky in the first couple of minutes of the game. Actually, I think it's fallen off already. It's the first 3 minutes of the game, so it's fallen off, so it's not really that tanky anymore. But yeah, so now here off of the dragon tick, we have to reset, which allows Mundo and Jhin to actually attack our tower a little bit and trade some plates back. So here we are going to attempt to run them down. Senna is getting run down herself. So here I'm trying to trying to get the kill onto Jhin. I have the shield bow ready. I did proc the shield bow, however, Jhin survives on HP. Now look at this, right? I get the kill on Mundo whilst I'm dodging the Jhin ultimate, which I was really proud of, because having to multitask of dodging Jin's ulti and killing Mundo at the same time is really no easy thing. And here Jhin stepping up again. Maybe he thinks I have backs, but I have not backs whatsoever. And here, he is definitely in danger. You can look at it, a Q onto him instantly deals a lot of damage to him. And one more Q is going to kill him if I am able to hit it, but it's really difficult. I tried to attempt to hit it at the choke point where I thought he would be, but he was just a little bit away from that. So he is going to be able to get the reset now. Now Mundo here is running me down. Now here I make a mistake, right? I don't cleanse the root immediately, and the main thing about that is that I thought, like, you know, if honestly, if Talon wasn't there, I would have been fine. So I didn't actually need to cleanse it, but the moment I saw Talon, I decided to cleanse, and it wasn't kind of in time to run away. Of course, if I had cleansed earlier, then I would have probably run away and Talon would have caught up. So that was just a bit mistake on my part. I didn't activate the spell shield either, so just basically a mechanical misplay for the most part, which does kick us down a peg with Mundo actually picking up the kill. He has a Warmock's first item, and they're now pushing the mid lane. Since they've already gotten the top lane tower, the usual rotation. In comes the Rammus, taunting the Jin. We're able to get the Jin, another free and easy kill, and Mundo is now having to run for the hills. One shot nearly comes through onto the Victor, who runs straight into the Lux. Ulti now, Talon finishes the job. He's really low, but he is going to be able to escape. And unfortunately, the shield bow does prop when we're not really even in the fight, so a little bit of a waste of the shield bow cooldown, but you know, sometimes it can't really be helped. Now here you can see, despite being relatively low on health, I can still clear the wave because of Sivir's insane wave clear. And also, if you guys have paying attention to how this Rammus is playing, this is one of the reasons why Rammus can be very, very OP, right? Rammus is insane against, number one, a full AD team, which the enemy team basically is except for the Lux, right? And number two, of course, full AD team meaning auto attackers as well. So like the Yasuos and you know, Yone's kind of team comp as Mundo tries to run me down, and we're able to kite him out. And the other reason is if he's against like zero mobility or low mobility, he's really, really insane. Like if you take a look at the enemy carries, right, you of course have Lux and Jin. Both of them have no dashes at all, right? So if Rammus actually plays well, which our Rammus is, he would be spam ganking the bot lane as well, the bot lane being my lane and the mid lane, right? So that's exactly what he's done. He's ganked the Jin like twice and basically just murdered him. And I'm not sure if he's done the same to Lux, but he, like, you can see that by him doing that against the Jin, it makes it very, very easy for us, right? Like all he has to do, he rolls in and then we just follow up, and then it's a very simple and easy kill onto the Jin, right? So here, speaking of simple and easy kill onto the Jin, we trap in the bush for him and he steps up, gets rooted by Senna, and easy Q onto him to finish off the kill. So, Senna here is building damage. You can see she's building Dustblade as well as Lethality Boots. But the good thing about this Senna is that at least she's not trying to KS, at least from what I can tell. She is giving me the kill, so I don't really mind that at all. Spell Shield very handy there to block the root. Lots of soul on the ground for Senna here. And the next dragon is going to be spawning. Victor has to recall because he's 1 HP. Mundo is trying to recall, but we're not going to allow that. And Mundo actually gets rooted there at very low HP. Now, I could have cleansed and tried to go for the kill, but I didn't want to walk past the Jin and ignore him when I'm pretty low on health myself, because Jin, of course, with the 4th shot could be deadly, and we don't want to put ourselves at that kind of risk. So here, Dragon has spawned. We did get the first dragon, which is Infernal Dragon, so this will be an Infernal Dragon Soul game if we can get it, which is why we do commit onto the second dragon. Very nice positioning by Rammus and Urgot to block the Jin ultimates. However, Talon does get the steal onto the dragon as Mundo is running me down. My shield wall is proccing and there's not a lot I can do against Mundo. You can see I'm not really gonna survive. I flash and try to escape. However, Mundo still kills me on the tower. Rammus taunts him and Rammus is trying to get the kill onto Mundo. Flashes forward, ults the Mundo. Mundo is not getting away, but he is slowly but surely dealing damage to Rammus. Of course, Rammus being a tank himself is not going to actually die to Mundo, but eventually does pick up the kill onto him. So yeah, you can see Mundo can be a little bit of a problem even in the support role. I mean, he does have more gold than his ADC. He's gotten 3 kills, so that is of course part of the reason why he's doing quite well at the moment. And in the meanwhile, you know, we have just respawned. We've picked up Navori and we're now building towards the Magnetic Blaster, which, as I mentioned, is going to be a really key item for just getting your boomerangs out more quickly, just with the attack speed and the range as well. You can think about it this way, right? If you get the extra range from Blaster and you pop the W before you auto attack, you will launch a long range boomerang over to the enemy team, and that's going to be bouncing around and dealing a lot of extra poke damage compared to just any other normal auto. So here I believe I have maybe enough to get Blaster, but my team is in trouble in the mid lane, so I'm popping the ulti. I'm trying to run them down, giving my Urgot the movement speed as well, giving my Rammus the movement speed to attempt to run down the enemy team. Here I'm trying to get off the DPS onto the Mundo. He is pretty tanky, but he does eventually go down. And here I'm not sure what Talon was doing. He's trying to assassinate a tank Rammus, which is definitely not the way to go. But here we are going to take out this tower. bouncing all of the boomerangs onto the Nasus and the Jhin at the same time. Nasus does pop the Wither onto me, but I'm not too scared. I mean, I've cleansed, but I don't really think I need to use it. So enemy ward spotted now. Made this mistake before of clearing the ward and then recalling at the same spot, and sometimes the enemy comes to interrupt you, and we definitely don't want that, so we're going to recall in a different position instead. And with the extra gold we've gone from the kills, we do have enough to even get an additional Executioner's Calling, and my team is doing Baron. I'm making my way there as quickly as I can. Half my team is zoning the enemy away, and the other half is doing the Baron. Now Nasus is just running straight into the Baron pit area. However, the mistake is that I can now bounce the bullets off of Boomerang, off of the Baron, and once again Talon comes in for a steal. Ram is kind of useless when it comes to smiting here, but we are able to pick up basically all of the kills. So we ace the enemy team, but we lose the Baron, which should not have really been the case anyway. It's just, of course, as I mentioned, Rammus is a trash smiter, and you do get junglers like this all the time. So, I mean, he was a really good like ganker and really good at getting me and Senna ahead, but unfortunately, when the time came to smite, yeah, he just ain't it in terms of smiting. So as a result, we now have to deal with the enemy Baron minions. Here you can see enemy is respawning as well, so I can't really go for this tower. I'm gonna have to be backing off. And we do get spotted, so we're gonna walk even further away just in case Nasus decides to run us down. And at this point, instead of backing, I'm pretty close to getting the mole reminder, so I'm gonna continue farming the camps instead to try to get the mole reminder. Yep, there we go, mole reminder completed. So now we have 4 full crit items, and of course, now all of the boomerangs bouncing all over the shop are going to be critting. And Nasus here is split pushing the bottom lane, but no one is actually really going to stop him, so I guess I have no choice. I have to be the one to stop him. There is the final dragon coming up before Elder, but this dragon is not important since it's wave for neither team. I'm trying to ping for assistance because I do know that Nasus can run me down and can kill me. He's only 1, 2, and 1, but I fought against Nasuses before, and yeah, they're really tanky, and if they get close to you, they're just going to bonk you. Like 3 hits probably going to kill you. So I'm not too keen on walking anywhere near him such that he can wither me and run me down. Now the dragon is up though, so I'm trying to make my way into the dragon pit. And here I'm popping the ulti, giving the movement speed to my entire team. Mundo is trying to 1v5. But my whole team is focusing the window for some reason, and I'm getting focused meanwhile by the enemy team. My shield bow pops, and I do get a huge amount of value from shield bow there, and I'm just doing the dragon, the lifesteal off of the dragon, and we do get the dragon, while Rammus goes all the way in and tries to do something to the enemies, but he ends up dying 1v3 instead. No real big surprise there. Even the tankiest of Rammus is going to have trouble dealing with 3 enemies there, just whacking him. And here now, of course, enemy team has pushed on a lot of lanes because of the Baron minions just now, so I'm just trying to clear out the waves, get them pushed back out, and we go back and pick up a stasis. Really helpful if you get caught out by Lux or Talon, for example. And now back on the map, just farming. Baron is coming up in 20 seconds. Of course, we want to be around the Baron area, especially with Elder 2 minutes away. We always want to stay in the mid to the bot side here because you never want to show up on the opposite side of the map from Baron, especially if you're the jungler or the ADC. Especially, yeah, you definitely don't want to be showing up on the other side of the map. It's not so bad if you're the mage or the support, but in general here, yeah, Victor gets completely caught out. Mundo is now trying to run all of us down. I'm popping the ulti for the movement speed. The Talon tries to dive into the back line. Now I'm getting rid of him. I'm on the double now. Trying to go for the high value target of Jhin, and now Mundo is the last one standing. Now I'm just gonna run mid so that we can end the game with a clean ace, 30+ second death timers, and we do have a wave in mid as well as an exposed Nexus, so it's a pretty simple matter of just running mid and ending the game. So there we have it. Pretty strong game from Sivir. So I'm gonna leave you guys with the stats as usual, and goodbye.